everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and today we are talking with my friend Cherise. So I had mentioned a couple episodes ago, we're kind of steering the ship of this podcast and talking about women empowerment, success stories, challenges in our lives that we overcome. So my friend Cherise,
hi,
one of my besties, has agreed to come on to talk about kind of her journey of going through the military, making her way, working her up the corporate ladder in a very male-driven industry that we work in. That's how we met. So she's going to take us through her story. So for those that are returning, thank you. And for those that are new, we hope that you continue listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment. You can always email us at femmefables@gmail.com if you'd like to share your own story or comments. So we will get started.
Great.
So you're in the Navy, right?
Yes.
The Navy?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So what made you go into the military? Weren't you kind of like smart, shitty kid? Or like...
I was a very shitty kid, okay? Have my mom tell you the stories.
You had an attitude. You were sassy.
I was sassy. I was rebellious. I needed to be reined in.
It was just you and your sister, right?
Correct.
Two siblings. Okay.
Yep, just us. And I was the oldest. And so I was the rebellious one because I felt like they, were always coming down on me.
Mm-hmm.
Why me? And I want to do this. I want to do that. And I really hadn't thought about what was I going to do after high school, because I was busy being a rebel.
Yeah.
And I went to the movies, and I went and saw Top Gun.
Nice. Top Gun. I did not know this. Is the first time I'm hearing this story.
Yes. Saw Top Gun, and Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise had
I needed a few good men.
Speaking of Tom Cruise, have you seen him? That man does not age.
No, he does not. And
I think he's a robot.
He may be.
There was a picture of him next to the kid that played in Jerry Maguire,
Uh-huh.
who looks old as hell, and
he looks the same. He looks exactly the same.
I don't know what the Scientologists are giving him, but it's working.
It's working. It's in the juice.
I
don't
need
know.
their skincare product lines.
Absolutely. So I saw Top Gun, and I needed something like Tom Cruise in my life. Okay.
Fair.
And so the very next week I went back because I was getting ready to graduate, and went back and signed up for ROTC. Was in ROTC, signed the paperwork, and went to the
Tom
Navy.
Cruise watches or listens to my podcast and be like, I made a success story. Top Gun, thank you.
Yes.
That's
So it
pretty
was
awesome.
Tom Cruise essentially why the rebel in me joined the service. But after I joined, I learned and realized real quick that this is what I needed, number one, to kind of rein me in and really see the world for what it was and what my parents were trying to teach me, and also to gain some kind of focus, gain some kind of direction in my life.
Why the Navy? The Navy's not easy, right? Marines, Navy, those are pretty tough, right?
I think they all are pretty tough.
Yeah.
But honestly, I go back to the choice for the Navy was 100% seeing Top Gun.
That's the most amazing thing ever.
That was it, because ROTC at my high school was Army ROTC.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because usually it is Army. ROTC is usually Army.
Right.
Like, okay.
So I was in Army ROTC, but there was something about the way that movie portrayed the Navy that I was like, I'm all in. I'm all in.
So I always joke, and I tell you this, like I could have never made it in the military. Like,
why? I think you think that. I
I
think
don't like
everybody
being told
thinks
what to
that.
do. I'm rebellious.
But I was
Oh,
too.
I know. They break your ass down to build you back up.
And they break you
Oh,
down.
yeah, I know. I don't want to be broken.
I'm
I'm broken enough.
No, but see,
I don't
it's
want to be broken anymore.
during the time of it, you feel like I don't want to be broken, I'm broken enough.
Yeah.
But after you go through the process, you're like, oh no, this was a good break. I needed this break.
Okay, so what was one of the toughest things you experienced in the Navy? Like, what was one of the hardest things to get through?
The hardest thing I can honestly say was boot camp. They have a physical training that you have to pass in order to graduate boot camp. Amongst several other things, you have to get through the school. You have to get through different
You have like
apparatus.
written exams.
Yeah,
physical
rifle
training.
physical training. It was the physical training, and you know me, girl.
I was about to say, was that the last time you worked out? Because remember when we
Right.
Side note, Cherise and she signs up to go with me to Orange Theory. And, which, you guys know I go and do, quite often. But she had to fill out the form, and it asked, when's the last time you worked out? And she put, no, you put like 18 years. You're like, when was Chris born?
Yes.
Her son. And, actually, they're like, what does this say? You worked out 18 months ago? You're like, no, 18 years ago.
No, 18 years. You're reading it right. 18 years ago. And so the trainer guy looks at me, he's like, oh. He didn't even have a comeback.
He was like, she's gonna die today.
Normally they're like, okay, we'll work with you. Like, he had nothing.
Yeah.
He had nothing. 18 years.
That was one of the best moments that we've had together. I know you did it though. You made it. You were.
Remember the second day?
Was that when you were like?
Remember when we went back to work the second day and I couldn't even sit in the chair? Like.
You don't realize the muscles you use in your legs
Oh
to stand and sit until you're about to die from soreness, and then you're like, "Fuck, I use a lot of muscles." Sitting's harder because you don't realize your thighs tense.
Your thighs, your stomach,
your core.
Oh no, I felt it all the second day.
You're like, my hair hurt, my eyebrows hurt, everything hurt. Yeah, she never went back.
No, I did. I went back, and we had that's the show time for another show, because we had a whole journey with that experience. But my toughest experience in the military was the physical training.
You probably had to run a certain.
We had to run a certain distance.
Yeah. In a certain time.
In a certain time.
Oh hell no!
Okay. So, and I don't remember the exact distance. It's like 2 miles, I think. We had to run, or a mile and a half, something like that. And we had like 10 minutes to do it in, or some crazy thing like that. It's fast.
That's fast.
Yeah, and you're doing it in formation. So they put all the slow people at the front for this final training. For the final test, they put all the slow people. So we're the pacers.
Okay. So
they put all the as your training group.
I was like, that's to break you down. You slow ass people.
No. That's after you've been broken down, and now your training group, you're really truly sisters by that point. So we came up with that plan.
Okay. So people in the front to pace.
Yeah, our commanders had no idea. We're like, but now you're a camaraderie at this point. You're trying to work as a unit. So how can we pass this test and get through it? We've got to put the slow people at the front. So I was not quite at the front because over the 8-week period I had gained some endurance. So I was kind of in the front to middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, that was the hardest, because you've got the pacers, but then you've got the pushers in the back. And you're all trying to get through this at 10 minutes or less.
And I would get anxiety if somebody was behind me that could run faster.
Yes.
I gotta run faster.
And they're pushing and they're running cadence, and you're just, and I'm just
I would vomit. People vomit. I would vomit.
So you chose vomit. By the time it was finished, I peed myself. I literally peed, and I started to cry at first. Like, oh my God, I'm peeing on myself, and people are gonna, and I just let it go. Like I'm like, but I was like, I'm sweating like a bitch. Ain't nobody gonna tell I'm peeing. I'm peeing myself. I just let it rip. But that was definitely the hardest thing. The rifle training, the mind sweep that they do on your brain and trying to break you down. I had that in spades.
Yeah.
Because I decided really early on, follow the feet in front of you, keep your head down.
Okay, I was talking to somebody about this. Didn't you guys beat the crap out of each other?
Yes.
People got in trouble or got you in trouble. I knew it.
Yes.
But what was it called? Wasn't it called something?
Yeah. We. Let me think about it. It was called.
You told me the story. And
yes.
I was trying to tell someone, and they're like, "No." I'm like, "No." I was telling Deidre. She's like, they got into a fight. I'm like, "No, they would gang up."
No, circle back with me.
Yeah. Okay.
It was tent party. I believe it was called it a tent party.
It was something like that. Yes.
So what we do in boot camp. You had to keep you had to keep the barracks a certain way, your barracks a certain way, you had to make your beds a certain way, all the rules and regulations. And if your bed was all jacked up, or your skivvies weren't done properly, or what have you, all of us got in trouble. That's how they break you and build you into a sisterhood or into a corp.
Yeah.
That's why you hear us say we're sister and brother.
Yeah.
Once you get out, I'll die for you, bitch.
Yeah.
Right? So if you get us in trouble, we've got to be standing out on Commander Row in the hot sun for 2 hours, holding a rifle. These are punishments where you're dropped and have to do how many ever push-ups. And sometimes what they'll do is make the squad do the push-ups, and you, the person who had the problem, you get to sit there and eat snacks.
Oh, so they really make you. Have you ever watched Handmaid's Tale? They kind of do that at a point, and they're like, "It's her fault. It's her fault." That's kind of the fucking same.
Yeah. So that night, you better sleep with one eye open because we're coming for you. And we called it a tent party where you come with the blanket.
It's a blanket. I thought it was a pillowcase for something.
No,
okay.
it's the blanket or the sheet, and we just wail on you.
So you cover them with the blanket, and they just get their ass beat.
Yeah, you just get your ass beat, but you don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that shit again. I knew it. I was like, I'm not making this up. I'm pretty sure that this happened. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I was just mesmerized by it.
Yeah, but by the end of 8 weeks, we're all a sisterhood. It's all good.
Everybody.
And I will. But you know what? Think about, you're going on the firing lines. You're going into combat. You need to know that this person, if the rule is we're all going in, the rule is we're all going in.
Right.
You can't be standing over here on the sideline talking about your makeup or something like that.
We're trying not to get killed.
Right. So you were on board.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like.
How long were you in the military?
10 years.
10 years. Then, so when you got out, you went into like nursing. Was something with the medical?
Right. So while I was in the military, you get a designation. You get to choose your career path. And I chose the hospital corpsman path. And so they then will send you to school. So essentially, when I first started in the military, I was what you call a hospital corpsman, and that's like the equivalent of like a licensed practical nurse. Or because only the officers can be like RN, right? So you have that higher degree coming in, and you come in as an RN if you're an officer. But at my level, where you're coming in as a seaman recruit, you're coming in at the base bottom, the very first entry rung into the enlisted side of the house. You come in as an apprentice. So you're coming in like a nurse's aide, then an LPN, and then you continue to move up. So essentially, my first job in the military was that of like an LPN.
Okay, gotcha. What do you think the biggest lesson you learned in the military that's helped you throughout your life? It's a toughie.
Yeah, no, the biggest...
Or like, what do you carry with you that's helped you afterwards, like in life?
To always, and this may sound cliche, but to always strive for the best. To always be trying to do better. Don't just sit on your laurels. Like I said, I started as what we would consider an LPN when I started in the military, but I didn't stop there. I continued to go to what they call the C school, so it's higher education and learning, and by the time I left, I had the equivalent on what you guys on the outside would consider a physician's assistant. So that's that educational journey that I gained throughout the military, and then even when I finished that, I took my GI Bill and I went back to school so that I could get my degree, and that's when I converted into the civilian side of it, and I walked away from the medical and I went into business. So that's where that transition happened.
Did you ever feel there was any difference of how the men or women were treated in the military? Were you guys grouped just as females together, or were you like when you're doing the training, are there men and women?
There are men and women. But the way that you're grouped is it's a sister company and a brother company. You're not co-ed. Okay.
Gotcha.
So the sister in my company was the sister company was on the second floor, and our brother company was on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
So you graduated together and you did things together. So you went to class together, you did training together, but you were always separate.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Hold on. What are the questions?
So by the time you got to the end of the week, you really wanted to know your brother company.
I was like,
yeah, because
did y'all go out and
yes, they finally, at the end when you
got to
graduate,
celebrate together?
Yeah,
You're like, hey.
yeah, and they give you they give you furlough, they give you leave, and you got to be back to the base by midnight. But when you graduate, they give you so people were getting hotels.
Oh, I bet they were. They were like, I need to
Yes.
lock your phone. I need to get me some.
Who's the brother company that I'm trying to hook up with? Yep. So.
All right, so we covered those questions. All right, so you get out of the military, you go into business. Did you go straight into insurance?
No, I once I got out of the military, I stayed with physician assisting.
Okay.
While I was still going to school to get my business degree. So that's the part that pretty much finished putting me through business school. Was I had my GI Bill and then working as a physician assistant, and we were in Chicago when I got out, and then moved to Minnesota and then came down here. But that was several years of my life still working in the medical field. And then once I graduated, that's when the storms happened. All those storms, the Charlies, the whatever, and
it was that.
And everybody needed, everybody needed help.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister, she's an attorney. She was already in the insurance industry, and the company she was working for at the time.
I forget that she was on the insurance side. Yeah.
The company she was working for at the time needed just help. They needed clerical help, CSRs, anybody at that time. So she called me because she knew I was going to school and taking care of the kids. So part-time job wouldn't stop me from doing what I was doing. So she called me, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll give a couple hours a day. So I would go down, and I started as a CSR, just answering the phone, and I think they saw my ability, I think, and they came to me and said, we need some adjusters on the floor. We'll put you through that training if you're willing to do it. And I said, a week? Sure, you gonna pay for it? No problem. So I took the test. I did the studying, and I took the test. And, 2 weeks later, they hired me then as an adjuster, and I started in loss assessment. That was my first gig.
Nice.
Loss assessment. And then here I am, 16 years later.
Yeah.
Here I am.
You're a supervisor, though.
Yeah. Here I am.
When we met, you were just about to get promoted, right? You were an adjuster for very long by the time I started.
Correct.
At the company who must not be named, like Voldemort.
Yes. We won't talk about the name of the company.
Even though I probably wouldn't even care, but
to protect the innocent.
I don't know. No comment. Okay, so Deidre and I kind of mentioned this on a couple episodes ago because Deidre worked with us at that company who must not be named as well. But we work in a very male-dominated industry, white male to be specific. So, did you feel like you had any obstacles being female, being a black female,
I think in anything I've done, I definitely feel my femaleness.
Yeah.
Right.
Gender definitely plays
for
a part.
For sure. And honestly, I have to be cognizant. I kind of joke about it, but I have to. I go into every experience thinking about. I have two strikes. Right. I am black and I'm a woman. Right. So I walk into a room, and I've got to navigate that room from both of those
right,
thought
your mind
processes.
has to go
Yes.
in those,
So just us as women, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're walking into a room that you have to give a presentation to or what have you, and you're going into that thinking, okay, I know I have a great presentation and I'm a woman, am I going to be taken seriously? And you really have to bring it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing it.
And not only that too, I have to think about the way I dress. I'm very well endowed. I can't have my cleavage out because, men are like, cleavage.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They don't, I hate to say it, but they don't take you as serious. And it's sad that we have to be like that, but you do. Like, I wear a button up, so,
Right. So that's where I think that, when people say, oh, you're also, nobody's thinking about you being black, or nobody's thinking, it's not what others are thinking about, it's what I have to go into something thinking about. And I think, like, with men, they think that, oh, just come in and give your presentation or do your presentation, but they don't realize what we are thinking as women going in. And that's the same thing I don't think white society realizes. Black people are also thinking about that other level.
Even though we're not, like, if you just walked in a room, I'd be like, all right, this lady's going to give a presentation. I'm not like this black lady's going to give. But in your mind, you have to think that way.
Right, and I think
and we don't.
And that goes back to what when we talk about, not me specifically, but when we're talking about white privilege, I think people think about, I'm saying you have all. So when we talk about white privilege, I think a lot of people get offended. White people get offended, I think, because they think we're saying you had all of this.
You didn't have any struggles.
Right, you had no struggles. And that's not what we mean about white privilege. That's a good
point, because I do think I was actually talking to somebody about you coming on, or I don't know if it was necessarily about you, we were talking about something, and they were like, well, I've had struggles. And I was like, yes, this person has had struggles in their lives. They had a mother who had addiction, who gave them up for adoption, like they grew up very poor. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's not what people are saying. Black people are saying when they say that. Like,
white privilege has nothing to do with your lack or having struggles. What we're talking about is if you flip the script and think about it as a woman, right? As a woman going into that meeting and trying to give a speech. Men have privilege. They don't have to think about that. That's their male privilege. So when I'm saying white privilege, it's the things you don't have to think about going into a room.
Right.
You're not thinking about, you're thinking about you as a woman, but you're not thinking about yourself, the color of my skin is also something that I have to be cognizant about.
Right. Nope.
Right? That's what we're talking about when we're saying white privilege.
Gotcha.
Okay. So in my mind, for my success, I've always kept that at the forefront. I'm very cognizant of it, but I don't use it as a crutch. I don't use it as an excuse. If I fail at something, I fail at it straight up. I don't fail because I was black. I don't fail because I was a woman. I failed because or at least I regroup and say, what did I miss in this? And see if I can figure that piece out. He's a character.
Yeah, he's something. Knox is something, that's for sure. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see him. If you're not, go check out YouTube so you can see giant Great Dane bouncing around. No, I think that's a great mindset is, okay, I didn't get this job because I'm black. Like, okay, is there something I could be doing differently, And I know people have had and I'm sure people have been discriminated, obviously, against.
Well, yeah,
of course, it happens.
I'm not saying it's not an issue. I'm not saying
you're just not relying on that to be like
my end all be all.
Right, gotcha. So we kind of talked about this off camera. You felt that there would probably been more obstacles as a female.
Yeah.
So is there anything you can pinpoint in time that you definitely felt?
So
I've had comments made to me that I can't believe have come out of men's mouths, like in professional settings to me, my boss who said things to me. Oh yeah.
See, I can't specifically pinpoint a specific issue, and maybe it is because in our industry that I'm working with, there may be a little bit more cognizant of what they say when I come into a room because they're looking at my blackness, right?
So it works for you in that sense. It's like, oh, if she's a black female,
is she gonna come? Is she gonna come for me? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I have talked to you, and I've talked to a couple of our other colleagues that back in the day when like we were first starting, some of the things that they tell me that men were saying to them, you know, and we were just as good getting on the roof, just as good, doing our estimates, just as good. But the comments that they were getting, I had not experienced that specifically, but I know so many women in our industry that have. And it's funny, it makes me think, is it because they're a little bit more cautious with me? Or with us?
You don't want a complaint filed on you by a black female in the corporate world. Like, you're going to lose.
I just,
and I don't mean that in like to negate, I've made complaints against things that have been said to me. Like I remember being in a meeting and me and my coworker were both very strong-minded women, and we speak up and we speak our mind when you know me. And at the end of the meeting, my boss looks at us and it's like, "Are your periods synced?" In front of everybody. Oh yeah. You know this now.
I wish they might. I would show them real quick how quick our periods are synced. So,
but that it's like, oh, this is why you're being combative, because you're on your period. And when we weren't being combative, we just weren't in agreement with his decision, and we were telling him why we were in disagreement,
and why
he didn't like being challenged.
Why is that? Why if a strong woman comes up to the forefront and has a point of view, we are called a bitch? Or if we're hard chargers, we are called, all kinds of things. Where for a man, he's just
doing his job. He's a man. He's in charge.
Yeah.
Well, and our other friend that we have in our industry, I won't say her name because I don't know if she wants me to speak her name, but she's very the mama bear.
Yes, she
right?
is.
I am not a mama bear leader.
Neither am I.
Yeah, so I'm not, but I think people expect that of women in leadership.
Yes.
She's going to coddle me. She's
nurture
gonna
you.
Nurture, and I'm not. No. I'm a let's get work done. I'm here to listen to you. Like, obviously, I'm not going to turn somebody away, but
at the end of the day, we got a job to do.
Right.
Get her done. Get it done.
And and for the most part, people work for me. Like, once they understand my leadership style, but I've been called a bitch. You didn't like me when you first met me.
Yeah, I think I used that term, actually.
Yeah. You called me a bitch?
I think I did.
This bitch. Yeah. No, Cherise did not like me at all when we first met. We were talking about this off camera before. What was that, 7, 8 years ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 8 years ago. But, and I did. I'm one of those people that was like, she's a bitch. But after working with her and beginning to know the person that you are at the end of the day, you were a lot like me, a hard charger, and like our other colleague.
You were not a nurturing leader.
Right. I was
right next to you.
Yeah, it's just like our other colleague that you talked about. We are not her.
No.
By no stretch of the imagination.
She's great.
Yeah. And when we can't deal with you, we sending you over there. Yeah. You need a little bit more mama bear because I don't have it to give. Okay. But why are we called the bitch?
And that's where I was kind of leading that, is that because if you don't act like the nurturer or whatever, you're a bitch. You're cold. You're know
cold,
what I mean?
yes.
And it's, I care very much for people.
That. I guess maybe I've lied. I have been called that by people that report to me, that, she comes across cold. Or she's very direct. Well, how else am I supposed to be? It's a job.
That is an example of being very direct. No, I'm the same way. I'm very straight to the point, and I'm like that, though. I don't think I change really when I'm in or out of work. And
I would agree. I don't either.
Yeah, and kind of going back, this started as like kind of about dating. I think part of that hinders me in dating because I'm intimidating, or I've been told I'm intimidating.
Because you're direct,
and
you're gonna say what you need or want.
Yeah. And I don't think every male is like that. I think men with big egos are the ones that react that way, because they don't. The boss that I was speaking of, I think, was a male chauvinistic pig, he was sexist. I don't think all men are like that. I have 2 older brothers. They're wonderful men. My dad's a wonderful man. You know what I mean? Like, they treat women with respect. You know, not
Even
all
my
men are like
husband.
that, but
I am who I am.
Yeah.
Like I don't pull punches, right? Like what you see is what you get all the time. Don't ask me a question you really don't want the answer to, because you're gonna get the answer.
yeah.
And I have a husband that understands that's about me and accepts it. So I think, yes, there are men out there that do want a strong woman.
I just gotta find them.
Yeah.
If you're a man who likes a strong woman, let me know. No.
Call her.
mfables@gmail.com.
Hello.
Get my OnlyFans set up now.
Okay, we just went left.
Yeah, we usually do. What do you think has attributed to your success the most in your career in the industry?
Couple of things. I think knowing where I want to go, having a goal, right? And then aligning myself with the proper support, whether it's other colleagues in the industry, mentors, and education. One of the biggest things that I would impart to any young woman coming up in any industry is to look at or find somebody where you want to be.
Yep.
And then you need to read what they're reading, do what they're doing. I'm not saying mimic somebody, but I'm saying if they're reading Fortune 500 magazine, you better get you to Fortune 500 magazine and try to figure out what is it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Understand the books that they're reading. Understand the people that they're engaging with. What organizations are they a part of?
Yeah.
Those are the things that are going to allow you to move to the next level. And those are the things that I've done. What credentials do they have? What education do they have? What are they doing? Who are they training? Who are they being trained by?
Yeah.
And get your foot in front of those people. Get network.
Yeah. Networking is huge in general.
Do you understand what I'm trying to
Oh,
say?
no, I totally get it. You know, one of my goals when I was younger was to be on the cover of Fortune.
Okay, so where are we at with that? I'm
all
about it.
We got
Come
a little
on.
ways to go.
Okay.
So, maybe this podcast will
Yeah,
blow
we're not
up
dead
and,
yet. We can get there.
I'm going to be 38, so I still got time.
Yeah, you still got time.
Yeah, but no, I completely agree with that. I think
if you talk to anybody that you think is successful or you feel is successful, they're gonna tell you that.
Yeah, I've had some really strong female leaders that I've reported to. I remember one first insurance company I worked at. She was amazing, and she was hard, man, and she was hard on me. And looking at the moment, I felt very targeted. But now looking back, I was a new leader, and she was really prepping me
for the next
for
level.
how tough leadership is, and it's not easy leading people. And yeah, I think so. If there's anybody you're working with, you're like, damn, this person's really hard on me. They're probably pushing you to succeed
Because they see something in you.
Yeah.
They see something in you, and that's when you realize that you are growing. When you're able to step back and not blame that person. Why is she so hard on me? Why is she doing this? Why is he doing that? And you're able to step back and say, okay, what could I have done differently in this situation? How can I improve? That's how you're going to become successful. And it goes in everything that you do. It's not just in the corporate world or in your business or professional life. It's in your personal life as well. Always be willing to take a step back, I think.
Were there any, and we'll end on this conversation, but was there a moment of disappointment in your career that in the moment you were just like, oh my God, like, I can think of one that we both experienced, but you know what I mean? Like, these disappointments that now you look back at and you're like, that was a blessing in disguise. Because people suffer so many disappointments, and I feel like they let that sit with them, and your ego is bruised, and whether you didn't get a job, you got let go of a job that there was no reason behind it, you just did, and you know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%. The biggest upset for me, because understand from my military days to this particular point, I had never, for lack of a better word, failed. Yeah, I had some setbacks, I had things that I grew from, but I had never failed. And I was let go from an organization that I had rose up in. And I thought, I was blindsided. It was blindsided and let go, and I felt horrible. And I think that's the first place that I ever had something like that happen. And even in my own advice, trying to take that step back, I still couldn't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, it took me a while.
And I pulled myself by my bootstraps, and I did what I had to do in the moment to get by. But it afforded me the opportunity to be where I'm at now, and with the organization I'm with now. And it's like I never skipped a beat.
Yeah.
And I am on track to do just so much better things in this organization that is allowing me to grow and thrive, and listen. Like, I feel like a valued part, where at this particular place I didn't, and I left. That was the first place I've ever honestly left with bad taste. Like, I could see myself going into an alley with a knife or something. Like,
you were ready
to
shake a motherfucker.
And that's not who I am by my heart. So yeah, it was devastating.
Yeah.
It was my first. I had never been let go, and to be let go, the way that I was let go, it was just a slap all the way around.
And I think we experienced the same thing. So we're both let go with no really reason or whatever, and you know.
And can I just say, when they were letting us go, they called her Cherise.
Yeah, because we look exactly alike.
Because we got
the same skin complexion.
So that just should tell you.
Yeah.
The organization we were working for.
So, but you make a good point. So in hindsight, where I'm at, like, I love where I work. I feel valued. My voice is heard. We would have still been in the same positions.
Yeah, we would have.
There was no really room for growth
there was
in
nothing.
that. No. So yeah, looking back, just so if you've ever experiencing a disappointment, now it's probably tough, but trust me, you will get out of it, and you will look back and be like, I'm in such a better place than where
for sure.
We probably would have left. I mean, I was like 1 foot out the door already.
we probably would have. We probably definitely would have left. But that would have been my choice. Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's a little different.
But where I'm at now, I just see there's just so much potential. Where I've come since being with them. Yeah. You know, in the few years that I've been with the organization, and I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's awesome. Any other advice before we wrap it up? Parting words of wisdom?
The only thing I can say is, like Megan said, just keep your wits about you and keep putting one foot in front of the other, because you will get there.
100%. All right, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on the podcast platform, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.